Okay guys, it's rolling crank time up here in Queensland. Today I'm going to talk about how I use this little guy here, the rolling crank Infeed DR, and how I use it to catch fish. Let's get into it. Now when I first went on the market and saw the rolling crank on the DAIWA website, it didn't exactly jump out to me and be one of the things that I wanted to buy because it didn't really show that it had a lot of rattling to cause a lot of noise and draw in fish. But that's quickly left my mind now that I've started using it, because I used to prioritize spike 44s and double clutch lures for my Bream because it would always draw in attention. But this little lure does actually bring in a lot more vibration in the water column, and if you put a little bit of scent on it, it actually catches a lot of fish. Stick around for the entire video because it isn't just a TED talk. Today I'll just run through what it is, who it's for, and also I'm going to show you how I use the lure out in the water and also teach you the ways of this lure. Now, on the little rolling crank that I've got in here is a little ball that sits in the middle. It doesn't look like it's free to go anywhere. It's just kind of a little trapped in the inside. I'll try to point it out on an image on Google, but this is a little bit scarred up, but it does have a little ball on the inside when you rattle it, and when you rattle it, it makes a little bit of a noise, and it really does draw in fish, that rattle. Not to mention, it is actually quite violent, this lure. This lure is, even though you're using straight through fluoro for this lure, you do feel it very much so through the rod. And that tells me that with such a small little bait fish presentation, this lure, even though it is small, will attract many fish and quite quickly. Now, that doesn't mean that it's going to attract more fish than a Spike 44, which is kind of what I'm comparing it to here, but it's a much more fast twitch sort of motion. It's more of a roll than a twitch, but you sometimes will put a little twitch in there just to give it a little bit more vibration, and that for me seems to have worked quite well. But you get a lot more fish attracted to a lure when you do that, and honestly, I think even though the Spike 44 is on the market and it is a very, very, very violent lure, this lure here almost does the job even better, especially for Queensland waters, because we have very, very timid surf bream and yellowfin bream here, and this lure appeals to that fishing market because it's a small little bubble that just looks so eatable to one of these fish. Murky water, they're probably gonna not matter about anything, and they're probably gonna hit anything that moves. But in clear water where it's clear days and they're really, really are picky about what they're trying to eat, I think this lure would be an absolute go-to, and maybe even over some of the other rolling cranks that DAIWA have made and other brands. But yes, this little lure, which I was skeptical on, is actually really, really nice. Now, I first pulled up to this little stick in the water, just shown here, to see if there was any bream sitting on the flats waiting for a couple bait fish to go by. Now, unfortunately, I ended up not getting anything off of this, which just told me that all the fish were a little bit more timid today and a lot shyer than I thought they would be, considering it was overcast, and that they were going to sit up amongst the mangroves. Little white. Now, when casting this in, take notice of where I've placed it. I've placed it right up along the mangrove line, which is where all these fish will be sitting. So if I can get a little bit of a crank going as I start to move that lure out of the mangroves, the fish are normally going to just follow it out because they're sitting right up amongst those mangroves at this point in time. I wonder what this is. Oh, yeah, nice little bream. And until you kind of coax them out with the lure, they will not want to move. And just like that, we've got our first fish of the day after just 5 casts. So what I'm mainly trying to focus on today is hitting all the high points. So this little spot here, you'll have fish just hanging in the mangroves waiting for a small bait fish to come past. Now I've seen some little white baits going past lately, and lots of them. So the Bream are looking for these little white bait sort of fish, and when you can match the hatch, typically you can get on them. There's another one. Just doing the same thing, just working it nice and slowly. Passing up next to the mangroves. He's got some mates with him too. Get him in. Again, another one shortly after, just a smaller size this time though, and I was just doing the exact same thing as what I did to get the first one. And notice as I'm working the lure, I'm working it nice and slowly and softly, and that's why the fish has now hit it, and he's going to come back for it like that. That's a fish. Okay. I don't want him going anywhere closer to his house at all. That's a bit big. I have no idea what fish that is either. Okay. Oh, it's a Bream. Putting a good account for himself, that's for sure. Nice Bream. Sure as hell had a bit of a go. He's absolutely crunched that on the surface. Oh, not on the surface, on that back treble. Absolutely crunched that. Grab that. That's a nice Bream. That's a very nice Bream. It's a very nice Bream. That is a good Bream for here. Holy, I'll take that. Now you guys have already seen this fish in this video, and this fish ended up being about a 32 to the tip, which was really nice for this river system. This was also caught on the Suji berry color, and as I'm going to get into here is you have to have a lure that matches the color of the water as to what you're fishing, because the fish will see it much clearer and much better, and this means that you will get a much higher chance of hooking up. Oh, I didn't have the camera on before? Just kidding. Okay, whatever. Oh, extra valley. Oh, it's a nice Primbo. Nice. I'll take that. Real good Bream. Fat one. Okay. Now for this fish I was using the Suji prawn along with most of the others except for the first one or two.
Anyway, so the main reason as to why I was using the Suji prawn for this was because of the really brackish water, and it was not very clear. So because of the dark coloration of the lure, it will naturally stand out more to the fish, and not to mention these things do have UV coloring into them. So the desired color in this water would be a Moby or the matte black color, but I didn't have either of those this day, so I had the most accurately colored hard body for the job. Okay, anyone that's made it this far, thank you very much for watching the entire video. You do really make my day better by doing this, and thank you for sticking with me. If you were entertained and you liked it, then go subscribe and press that like button. Anyways, hope you boys enjoyed. Peace.